And now I'm joined by roll call columnist Jon Allen in Washington and CBSN political contributor Hogan Gidley, who's on the phone from Columbia, South Carolina. He's also formerly served as senior communications director for Mike Huckabee's campaign. Hogan, let's kick it off with you here. You've worked on these campaigns. What do you make of that video apology? Was it enough? And what does the campaign need to do right now?
Well, I think it's a little too early to know whether it's enough or not. I think Donald Trump came out and apologized. He said a couple of key things in there, which I think are important. And it was, I said it, I was wrong, and I apologize. You rarely hear that coming from politicians. You rarely hear that coming from anybody, for that matter. But for him to come out and forcefully say that, I think that helped the cause. The problem is the comments are still there. The comments are offensive, and they're indefensible. And I think that's why he didn't defend them. The only thing he can do in this particular instance, I think, is to admit wrong and then to try and pivot on to the real issues at hand, the jobs, the national security, and then also talk some about Hillary Clinton. He did that pretty well. I really want to talk about the bigger point to me, and that's this. Let's not get too crazy here. What he said, obviously, as I mentioned, was offensive. I think it was grotesque. A lot of people are now disavowing Donald Trump. But I had a professor at Ole Miss tell me one time, a political science professor, tell me that politicians lose elections when they surprise the electorate, okay? George H.W. Bush, read my lips, no new taxes, then he raises taxes. LBJ said he wanted to pull out of Vietnam, put more troops into Vietnam. And then, the inverse of that is Bill Clinton. We knew Clinton was a philanderer. We knew he was the way he was with women when he got elected to president. The decades of deplorable behavior with women were documented in Arkansas for a long time, and people knew that. So when it came out that he had had an affair in the Oval Office, when he had payouts to people like Paula Jones, Jennifer Flowers, people accused him of rape, everyone just kind of shrugged their shoulders and said, yeah, we get it, because we knew who he was. We got to be careful here to write Donald Trump's obituary, because it seems like every time he does something like this, the collective country, the collective media, I should say, the jaw drops, the pundits, we all go, how could he say that? And it's going to kill him. It's going to kill his campaign. And then for some reason, he stabilizes and comes back stronger. I'm not saying this is going to be the death nail. I'm not saying it's not going to be the death nail. I'm just trying to point out this isn't surprising to a lot of folks. This is who he is. So it's not shocking to us that this video would come out. It's just, it's upsetting. It's deplorable. It's grotesque. But it doesn't necessarily shock anybody. And so because it doesn't shock you, I'm just not sure it's going to change a lot of votes, at least at this point.
John, the other side of this is some Republicans have pulled their support from Trump. We're looking at Congressman Jason Chaffetz, Senator Mike Lee. But as Hogan mentions, every time some sort of bombshell comes out over Donald Trump, he still bounces back.
At this point, it's a victory for Donald Trump every time a Republican condemns what he says in this video without unendorsing him or without calling on him to exit the race. That's how bad it is for him at this moment. I don't think this is something you're going to see Donald Trump's poll numbers rise after. I think a lot of us are a little bit gun-shy after the primary, predicting that there were things that he was going to do that would hurt him and seeing them not hurt him. But I think most of us know that there's nothing helpful about this for Donald Trump in any way, shape, or form. And the fact that he turned it into an attack on his opponent when he started to give an apology yesterday was, I mean, that's the most remorseless apology I've ever seen.
Yeah, I think that was a lot of criticism that you were hearing on social media and online, that he just, it was almost like a robot. There was no emotion or empathy. Hogan, I want to ask you about Mike Pence. This is a man who's a career politician, maybe has future aspirations. There was even a poll showing that he's actually leading when it comes to Republican names for 2020. What does Mike Pence need to do for his response from the campaign? And people in his home state of Indiana have been critical of Donald Trump. How does he need to walk this fine line with him?
Well, look, I mean, he's the vice presidential nominee, okay? He wouldn't be on this stage. He wouldn't be the number one name for 2020 had it not been for the selection of Donald Trump. People thought he would be in this race this cycle and obviously didn't get in, but he got in another way, and that was when Donald Trump asked him to run on the ticket with him. I think he's got to do basically what we all know is the right thing to do when someone makes a mistake, and that's apologize and not condone the behavior, not condone the comments.
But he did, Hogan, apologize, and people are saying there was just no empathy. He was reading from a prompter, and it didn't look like it was really, he was being contrite.
Yeah, but look, that's Donald Trump. I mean, every time he speaks, it's the same cadence. I mean, we were all at the convention. It was an hour-plus speech, and it it never dips. It's that loud speaking. That's the way he is. That's who he is. He doesn't have the ability to stop like Bill Clinton and bite his lip and fake tears. If he's upset, he'll be upset. If he's angry, he'll be angry. Politicians are really good at creating emotion to appear more empathetic. It's basically a lie. This is what I'm trying to say. I don't think this is a good day for Donald Trump. It hadn't been a good couple of weeks for Donald Trump. But for him to come out, if he'd have come out and cried, I don't think anyone would have bought it. They'd have said, this guy's lying. What we see here is what we've seen from the minute he came down the golden escalator. It's that forceful tone. It's that scowling face. It's raw and it's real, and that's who he is. Even though he's reading off a prompter, you can't expect him to stop and go, I was really wrong, and start crying and say, oh, this is so upsetting to women. He's not going to do that because that's not who he is.
Okay, and John, how does this, we know that Trump was scheduled to appear at a fundraiser with Paul Ryan today, but he sort of disinvited him. How does Ryan did endorse him at one point cautiously. How does Ryan need to thread this needle? Where does he go?
I don't think there's a really good option here for Paul Ryan. Obviously, he would like to keep some distance from Donald Trump. He has wanted to keep as much distance as possible. He's in a bad spot as Speaker of the House, the highest-ranking Republican in government right now. I don't think there was an option but for him to endorse Trump. But I think you're not going to see Donald Trump on the same stage with Paul Ryan. One thing I'd like to address, though, that Hogan said, and respectfully to Hogan, he said that this reinforces the narrative of Donald Trump. I actually think when you listen to Donald Trump, he has bragged so much about being such a Casanova, about being somebody who is so liked by women. And in this audio, what you hear is him bragging about how he has to force himself upon women. I think just that in and of itself is narrative undercutting, in the way that the tax returns that we saw are undercutting of the idea that he has business prowess. This is a guy who is not who he seems to be, not who he brags about being.
And I want to ask you, Hogan, when you look at Sunday night's debate night, how do you think this is going to impact all of that?
I think it's going to come right off the top. I think that's going to be, if I were moderating it, that'd be one of the first questions I asked, because obviously it's dominated the news. It's what people want to see. They want to see him address it. They want to see how Hillary is going to try to use that against him in the debate. And it's got to be, look, it's already been asked. It's already been answered. Well, it's already been answered. I wouldn't say it's been asked yet. But he's going to have to make a comment on this on that debate stage, and I would imagine the moderator is going to bring it up, and they should. But again, it's just not, it's just too early. When he said it, everyone just kind of freaked out. I watched Twitter. I watched all the shows, of course, and been reading all the publications. And as all of us, we were just kind of horrified by the comments. But, we're in the middle of a hurricane here on the East Coast. That's why I'm on the phone with you today. My power's out and not Skyping or at a TV studio. And so much of the East Coast is focused on their homes and their livelihoods and things like that. I'm just not sure the penetration of this negative comment. I don't know where it's going to go between now and the debate, and how much of it he can put to bed Sunday night. I'm just not sure. And by the way, as we saw in the first debate, he oftentimes opens up more can of worms. I will say this. If he's got something on Hillary Clinton and they're waiting to use it, I'd use it immediately. I would not let this fester for too much longer, because he needs to change the narrative and change it quickly.
Got it. Well, Hogan, I was going to ask you before you left how you guys are doing. How is your family down there in South Carolina?
Thank you very much. My prayers with everyone up through Florida, Georgia, obviously South and North Carolina. It looks like the storm is pushing off to the East Coast now. My mother's actually in North Carolina near the coast. She said it hasn't been bad there, but we've had some serious flooding here in Columbia. And, about a year to the day when this whole city was underwater, we've not seen near the rain that we had when the city lost billions of dollars. But there are some people here who are their homes are destroyed. The coastline is in trouble. I think Governor Haley, I want to praise her for a moment. She did do a good job of getting people away from the coast on Wednesday, evacuating the coastal regions. And so from what I understand, the people who had to stay behind, some of the first responders who are my friends and some people who are in the medical industry, say it's just a ghost town down there, and it should be, because it's dangerous. And obviously, it's going to be a few days before they can get back and try and rebuild their lives.
It certainly is, Hogan. We hope you get your power back soon. We'll keep us posted. Hogan Gidley and Jon Allen, thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.